Hey friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is Tom Battista. He's going to tell you a story about tour managing George Clinton and Parliament-Funkadelic.
Bruce DeForest, he got the gig and called me and said, can you come out and be my assistant? So that was after David Bowie. That was 75 then. And again, we went to Pete Feller's shop in Newburgh, New York, and the big, thing. And here's this spaceship. It was pretty amazing, actually. His props and all, it was just like this, an amazing adventure. The Mothership had 100 circuits in it. So had an umbilical cord that you had to take up to the ceiling, not to the ceiling, but we had to make a portable grid. So it was probably 6 feet by 8 feet with winches on one huge winch, a big Ohio gear-driven motor with a winch, a fast winch. So the Mothership actually had 4 wire rope cables on it that went around these drums, and that's how we could lift it up and make it land. So when you set it up in the morning, you put these cables on this drum and wind it up and everything, and then this thing goes up in the ceiling. It was hidden behind a hat, a fabric hat. It was actually on an aluminum frame with little stars on it, like little silver beads or whatever on a hat that you would have, like a big I can't think of what they called those kind of hats, but I had one for a long time. But anyway, so the Mothership, 125 circuits in it. So each pod that came out, the landing pods, where smoke would come out of when the thing's landing to stop it from hitting the earth. They still do it, how rocket ships land to this day, we did the same thing, but just with smoke and red lights. So we had in each of these pods, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, either 6 or 8 pods, each with 3 lights and smoke that would come out of them. On the back of the Mothership, it had 4 40-pound CO2 fire extinguishers, and with these electric solenoids, and that's how we made the smoke. And so, and it looked like when it was coming down, it would start firing, and the lights in there made it look like it was, not just smoke, but fire or a rockets. And so then it would land on the stage, and the door would flip in, and George would appear when a big cloud of smoke. And he was coming out of an trick elevator that we had a slanted staircase, and he would pop up out of an elevator.
The audience would go nuts.
Oh, absolutely nuts. We had a baby Mothership that actually is in Fountain Square now in the Museum of Symphonics or something that it's there. And George actually came to see it one time. But anyway, so the little Mothership was we'd stretch an 1/8-inch airplane cable from one end of arena to another. And when we first tried it, we used a electric fishing reel. So it would go, and then stop, and then get tension, and and so it just didn't work. So we devised a winch for that as well, so that we could make it come across. But we didn't have remote lighting like they can do now. They can remote anything. At the time, we had to have a rigger at the other end of the arena, up in the steel, on cue, light a fuse, literally, and then the sparks, and it would follow it all the way to the stage. It was a pretty amazing effect.
Did you ever have a venue that all of this stuff didn't fit on the stage?
Oh, a lot of venues. We took it to Europe, and we got to, I can't remember the little town, but they had an arena, and it was an in the round arena, but the roof slanted in. So in the middle, we couldn't fly our thing. We'd taken it to Europe, and no one had done the advance. So we couldn't fly it in there. So they just played. But again, when we were in Europe with them, I'll never forget this. They went to Parliament. The promoter arranged for them to go see Parliament. And so Parliament went to Parliament, and the next day in the paper, Parliament in full stage regalia. No, they were in their street clothes. They called it, full stage regalia. It was just kind of funny. And they were just like in their everyday clothes, not in their costumes or anything. The Funk Fest in Soldiers Field in Chicago. So there was, I don't know, 60 or 70,000 people there at this show, and they owed me $10,000. You know, and they said they were going to pay me because of the show. They were going to be able to get that much out of or enough out of the box office to pay me, and they got a lot more than that. But anyway, so
Parliament owed you this.
Parliament owed me this. Well, it was actually Tiger Flower, which were they had bought George Clinton's tour, so to speak, to kind of isolate him from whatever. And this Carol Kirkendall, she was from Washington, D.C. and owned this production promoting company called Tiger Flower. And they owed it to me, and they were going to pay me there. And so they took me down. I had to meet them in this little weird office, and it was awkward. And I get in there, and they pay me $10,000 in cash, and I thought they were setting me up. You know, I just thought I'm not going to make it back to the hotel with this. Yeah, I thought I was going to get robbed, and it was a little bit scary, but I made it back to the hotel and locked it in a little safe in our hotel. Well, the $10,000 was only, a tenth of what, they probably had $100,000 in cash. And, and the funny thing is they would carry them, a lot of them in these silver, what are those? I can't remember the name of the luggage. Yeah. The luggage, the aluminum silver luggage. They had briefcases full of money like that. So Parliament. So there's 25 people on stage at all times. So there's 25 people. And then the hanger-oners, their families or whoever. So you have all these people. And when they would pay, and they would pay in cash, they would get a connecting room. We stayed mostly in Holiday Inns with Parliament, but they would have a connecting room. So you would go into the first room, and the paymaster would pay you what you would owe. And the only way you could exit, you'd have to go through the other room. And that's where the drug dealer was. So you had to pay your drug bill. Now, lucky I never did drugs. And that's why I have so much to this day. I just never did them. I mean, I had brothers that all were involved in the business, and they were all, it's kind of sad, really, but they made their choices and had fun doing what they did. I saved all my money and bought property. So, I think George was always late. He was always, and he could afford to smoke crack, or, they would smoke, I guess it was crack, coke. They would do it with a pipe and burn it and smoke it. That's what they would do with it. And he could afford it. It wasn't ruining his life. So I didn't really hold that against him so much, although I hate it when young people, including some of my brothers, did it. It just ruined their lives. And so it was never a good thing to me, but he could afford to do it, so that didn't bother me so much. When he came to town here, he came down to see the baby mothership at that museum, and then afterwards I asked him to come to Bluebeard and have dinner, which he did, and it was really kind of cool. And of course, he had his little entourage with him, and he actually has a daughter who lives here, by the way. Yeah. But so anyway, they came at 4 because he had sound check at 6 or so. He had to eat early. We don't even open till 5. But I told the kitchen, and they rustled up dinner. Made a great dinner and everything. And we were done with dinner. We're sitting outside in the courtyard, and we were almost done. I said, "Hey George, let's go thank the kitchen staff. They're the hardest working people, in a restaurant, and the least paid." Oh yeah, So we got up and we walked into the kitchen, and nobody was there. They were all outside on the side smoking. So we went outside of Bluebeard on that little street there. There's a bunch of little seats there. And George pulled out his pipe and fired it up and started smoking pot with our staff. It was great. Well, I don't remember him really fishing, but we did take a fishing boat one time. And I'll be a son of a gun if he didn't catch the biggest fish. Unbelievable. I mean, there was 50, they rented this whole fishing boat. We were in San Diego or somewhere near an ocean. And we go out on this thing, and he's the one who caught the biggest fish. Just like how his life is, I guess.
If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, subscribe to my channel and tell me down below what your favorite P-Funk song is, and I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.